Hi, today we will explain the storyline of a film called Captain Phillips, which was released back in 2013. This film is based on the true story of the hijacking of the cargo ship MV Maersk Alabama, which carried 20 crew and 17,000 tons of cargo on its way to Kenya in April 2009. The film began with a man named Captain Richard Phillips. He was the captain of the unarmed container ship MV Maersk Alabama sailing from the port of Oman towards Kenya. That day he departed from his house to the port accompanied by his wife named Andrea Phillips. In a different place, which was in Ale, Somalia, a group of pirates was assigned to hijack a ship. Muse, as the leader of the pirates, chose the crew of the ship to go with him. He chose Bilal, Naji, and Elmi. Before long, they set off using two small boats and prepared their weapons. At the port of Salalah, Captain Phillips prepared to sail. His crew named Shane Murphy explained the route they would take. They would sail from Salalah to across the coast to Djibouti, followed by Socotra, then through the Gulf of Somalia to Mombasa. Witnessing piracy there, Captain Phillips ordered his ship to lock all doors while passing through Africa. The next day, Captain Phillips assigned Shane Murphy to conduct emergency drills.
2 skiffs.
In the midst of training, Captain Phillips realized that his ship was being followed by 2 boats of Somali pirates. Captain Phillips began to panic and ordered Shane Murphy to send an emergency signal to the American Water Emergency Services, but there was no reply. Then, when trying to contact the British Shipping Center, Captain Phillips explained what had happened, but was only responded with the suspicion of fishermen following his boat. Captain Phillips felt his ship's radio channel was hacked by the pirate gang, so Captain Phillips submitted a request for protection assistance to the warships guarding the area. One of the pirate boats who heard this turned around in fear, leaving 4 armed forces pirates led by Muse. Muse ordered his 3 men to keep following the ship, but because the boat they were using was an old boat, in the middle of the journey the boat engine died, so the 4 of them chose to return to their mother ship.
Cancel the limits. 129.
The next day, a pirate boat chased the MV Maersk Alabama, still with the same 4 pirates, which were Naji, Elmi, Bilal and Muse as their captain. Captain Phillips again contacted America Water Emergency Services for assistance.
Speed is 19 knots.
Copy that, Alabama.
Muse hacked into the radio channel again and pretended to be the Somali Coast Guard who was about to carry out regular checks and ordered to stop the ship. Because Captain Phillips did not respond, Muse and the other pirates started shooting at the MV Maersk Alabama. Captain Phillips and his crew started to panic. They sprayed water to counter the pirates, but Muse and the others continued to fire at the MV Maersk Alabama. Captain Phillips ordered his crew to hide in the engine room. And not long after, the pirates managed to board the MV Maersk Alabama and started looking for the crew. Captain Phillips ordered his crew to remain hidden in the engine room until he gave the code dinner.
Coming towards us, down the main deck.
Muse and the other pirates managed to enter the captain's room and started holding Captain Phillips. He offered $30,000 in cash which was stored in the safe, but Muse refused and wanted the ship and its crew in exchange for insurance money. He asked where the other crew members were, and started threatening to kill one by one of the crew members if the crew didn't come to the captain's room, but Captain Phillips replied that he also didn't know where his crew were.
I kill all your friends. 1 minute.
Finally, Muse began to search the ship to look for the crew in every locked room of the ship. Shane Murphy ordered to turn off the lights so the pirates could not see them.
Start at the very top.
Meanwhile, Muse and Bilal began to search the engine room with Captain Phillips as a hostage. Shane Murphy saw Bilal barefoot and ordered other crew members to place broken glass on the floor of the engine inlet. When they arrived at the engine room, Bilal's foot was injured by stepping on the broken glass.
This whole room, all of it.
At the same time, the chief engineer named Mike Perry managed to turn off the ship's engine, which caused the lower deck of the engine room to darken.
Let's take care of his foot. Take the money out of the safe and let's...
At that time, Captain Phillips, Muse and Bilal were on the dark lower deck, and because Bilal's leg was injured, Muse ordered Captain Phillips to bring Bilal upstairs to treat his wound, and Muse continued to search the ship alone. When Muse started to go around, the crew managed to ambush Muse and attacked him with knives. The crew was informed by radio that Muse had been captured and wanted to make a deal. Muse asked for the radio to be given to Captain Phillips. Captain Phillips offered them to leave this ship using his lifeboat and gave $30,000. Muse said he agreed with the offer. The crew was still holding Muse and planned to get the pirates out to get into the lifeboats, but one of the pirates named Najee refused to enter the lifeboat unless Captain Phillips also went with them.
You can't do this! God damn it!
Finally, Captain Phillips agreed to get into the lifeboat to tell Elmi how to steer the lifeboat. While everyone was in the lifeboat, Najee attacked Captain Phillips, and they began to operate the lifeboat with Elmi as the driver. In a different scene, the American Water Emergency Services reported to the USS Bainbridge, an American naval destroyer, that the MV Maersk Alabama had been the victim of a hijacking. Captain Frank Castellano was ordered to prevent the pirates from reaching the coast of Somalia. As the lifeboats headed for Somalia, the pirates lost contact with their mother ship and a feud began between them. They began to run out of water and the cod amphetamine plant for cigarettes. This made Najee nervous and fought with Muse. Najee tried to attack Captain Phillips and convinced other pirates to kill Captain Phillips. Then their lifeboat was intercepted by the USS Bainbridge. Captain Frank Castellano asked them to release Captain Phillips safely and settle it peacefully. However, the pirates demanded a ransom of $10 million.
OSS, keep the camera on the lifeboat.
Captain Frank Castellano ordered to send additional ships to get closer to the lifeboats and negotiate with the pirates.
Good. They protect us.
But the negotiators couldn't change their minds. Muse kept asking for a ransom of $10 million and would land on the coast of Somalia. In the lifeboat, Captain Phillips explained to Muse that they were now abandoned by their carrier and they would not be able to fight the American Navy, but it seemed that Captain Phillips's efforts were in vain, as Muse insisted that they would not give up. At nightfall, the Navy SEAL team parachuted to deter the pirates. While Captain Phillips tried to escape by lying that he wanted to pee outside the lifeboat. When the lifeboat door was opened by Bilal and Captain Phillips came out, he pushed Bilal into the sea. Then Captain Phillips tried to escape by jumping into the sea. He tried to swim towards the USS Bainbridge. Najee tried to shoot Captain Phillips to keep him from escaping. But Captain Phillips's attempt failed after he was caught again by Muse. They got back into the lifeboat and Captain Phillips was beaten repeatedly by Najee. An American Navy helicopter approached the pirate lifeboat. They warned the pirates to surrender immediately.
And they are coming here to negotiate a deal.
Captain Frank Castellano along with members of the Navy SEALs continued to look for solutions, and finally they managed to tie the lifeboat with a rope. Muse agreed to board the USS Bainbridge where he was told that his commander would be coming to negotiate. Meanwhile the snipers were in position.
Where are the others?
The lifeboat was getting out of control as the ropes that were tied kept pulling the lifeboat. In the lifeboat, Captain Phillips tried to write a farewell letter if he was killed, which was intended for his wife, but Najee saw it and a fight broke out between them. Finally, they tied his hands and blindfolded Captain Phillips. Najee kept trying to convince Bilal and Elmi that Captain Phillips must be killed.
If you harm the hostage, we do not have it.
When Najee prepared to shoot Captain Phillips, the crew of the USS Bainbridge stopped the rope used to drag the lifeboat and caused the pirates in the lifeboat to lose balance. Then the snipers fired 3 shots that made all the pirates in the lifeboat was dead.
Execute.
Meanwhile, Muse was detained and was named a suspect who would be handed over to the Ministry of Justice to account for his actions. The rescue team came and immediately evacuated Captain Phillips from the lifeboat and was immediately gave treatment. Although he was very surprised and confused, Captain Phillips thanked the team. The film ended with Captain Phillips reuniting with his family in Vermont. Meanwhile, Muse was convicted of piracy and had to serve 33 years in prison in the Federal Correctional Territory. And Captain Phillips returned to sea after he recovered in 2010.